any questions you have, put it in the chat, and we'll definitely get around to it if we don't answer it organically through conversation. But questions are great, and because participation is most important, because that's how we learn. We haven't been educated to learn. We've been educated to listen and follow directions, right? But that'll only make you a follower, right? In order to be able to be a leader, you have to be able to learn, right? You have to be able to digest and internalize the information that you hear so that it becomes one with you, a part of you. And then you can lead. Lead doesn't mean other people. Leading yourself is enough. Leading yourself is enough. And if you can do that, then you can take the next steps to lead others. But you don't ever have to lead others in order to be a leader. Just leading yourself has enough light and enough example in it for other people to follow. So I know we'll maybe give a couple more minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but I like to start on time. Yeah. I like to be ready on time. You know, I try to get people who need the information a little more time to come in, but part of the lack of information is also what contributes to people not being on time. Right? If you knew better, you do better. Right? So, you know, but I try to kind of give people a couple minutes, just because I don't want them to be without the information. Right. So we'll wait another another minute or two. Yeah. And then after that, we all smoking.
Yeah, I got you. Look, I got you.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. And Champ, Mackenzie as well, you know, just like anyone else, if you have something you'd like to ask or something you want to say or something like that, you know, just, I guess, use your dad's phone. I don't know how you guys do the chat because I'm up here doing my things. I don't know how the chat works, but, you know, you go wherever you need to go and ask your questions.
Right.
Man, because this information will change your life, save your life, and make your life your own.
Right.
So we're going to give 7:03. And we're going to give people one more minute, man, and we getting rolling. People.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is.
Well, I'm getting a few text messages. Let me just see what they're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Because I know everything is working, so let me just double check something. And I know Steve said that his mic wasn't working.
Oh, man,
Steve, if you have something, if you have something to say, you put it in the text thread or say good morning in there or whatever.
Don't worry about it.
Hold on.
I don't even worry about it. Yep.
I'll be home in like 3 minutes.
Oh, cool. It's cool.
I get myself up. And I can set myself up.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's 7:05, man. We're going to get started just because, hey, in the interest in time and the respect of time, we're going to keep it moving. Okay. Right. So today is going to be not different, but different in the sense of today it's going to be, today's title is going to be Mind Your Business, right? Mind Your Business. And today's title is Mind Your Business because we're going to be talking about what the mind has to do with business. So I work with, I'm not going to get too much into my thing, maybe later on, but this is something that Veronica decided to kind of put together because Veronica has her own Shopify and she works with a lot of clients on her own, building their businesses online and building their websites and all the different things. And so and a lot of platforms that she's on are more entrepreneur based and driven and things like that. So she has a lot of people that she works with, and she is realizing now, as I've come to realize, as I've realized that a lot of people's issues or challenges are not what they think they are. They think their issue or challenge is growing their business, or how they can make more money, or how they can get more clients, but they fail to properly take themselves into account. They fail to properly realize that they have a part of that in kind of a different way than they realize, understand, or anticipate. So we're going to talk a lot about that today, because this is something that she wanted to collaborate on and thought was a good thing for people to understand. The people that I work with, business owners, parents, people of all shapes, size, colors, industries, and whatever else of professions, when I work with them, this is something that always comes back. It just always comes back. A lot of times we're trying to improve the outside before we improve the inside, because we can't see the inside, and because we have been working from the inside our whole lives. We didn't have to get a degree to think. We didn't have to go through any type of certification. We've been thinking since we were in the womb. That's why our parents read to us. That's why we could hear. That's why we could kick in the stomach. We've been conscious even before we came out physically, so to speak, before we were visible, right? So we've been thinking for a long time. We've been conscious for a long time. But since that's been the case, we don't know what it's like to not be. And therefore, we've just been operating this machinery we have of consciousness, this machinery, without really the requisite skill that we'd apply for if we wanted our own business, if we wanted to learn how to drive a car, if we wanted to graduate from schools, if we wanted to do whatever, right? So we're going to talk about that. So first thing is, mind your business. So I wrote it in 3 different colors for a reason. They are, even though they're connected on the same line, they're connected as well in life, but they're also kind of separate. They have their own kind of separate lanes that intertwine, right? But they're still their own separate things. And we have to understand them, and individually and collectively, to get a better grasp on how we can do what we want or be what we want in today's case, or in today's topic, business, right? So mind your business. So there is a quote, I believe by Earl Nightingale, who said, everyone is self-made, but only the successful will admit it. Everyone is self-made, but only the successful will admit it, right? So anytime you play a sport, or anytime, or if you're wealthy, or if you have reached some type of achievement or something, everyone is more prone and more likely and more willingly to take credit for that, to say, yeah, I did that, right? But the people who didn't win, right? The people who didn't win the game, the people who aren't winning in life, are less prone to take credit for that. They're willing to, they now push off that on someone else. Well, it's because I'm this, or because I'm that, or because they did this, or because she did that, or because the world is this. But the winner lives in that same world, but has a different experience. So therefore, they are going to do something different as a result of their experience, right? So everyone is self-made, but only the successful will admit it. A question I first ask people, especially business people, the first question I ask, but anyone really, but the first question I ask people in business, because business people seem to think is different than life instead of a part of life, first question I ask is, okay, you're coming to your business and you want to expand. You're coming to me, you want to expand your business. So the first question I ask is, what is your first business? What is your first business, right? What is your first business? Anybody on here have a guess?
Myself.
Who said that? Who said that, Mackenzie?
Yes.
Yes, that is actually correct. Your first business is you. Y-O-U. So when people say, oh, well, what does my mind have to do with my business? Well, your first business before the business you're talking about meaning your business, your first business is you. So now your business has a business. You are a person. You may have a child, but you were there before that child. So now your business has a business. Your person has a thing called parenting, which has a child. So it is a cascading reflection of you. It starts in one place, and what it is a reflection of you. That's why our children look like us, or our family members look like us. We're related in some way, right? So our first business is us, is you, is the I, is the self. And according to how this goes, to how the you goes, that is how your business is going to go. Because your first business is you. Your first economy is you. It's you. So however you're managing this, yourself is going to be reflected in your business. So if your business is lacking, whether it's in finances, as far as income, whether it is in clientele, whether it is in whatever form that you feel is lacking, it's because there is something in you that's not being put into it. There's something that you have that you're not giving, or that you don't have so that you can't give, to make your business expand the way you want it to. So in order for it to expand, you have to expand. And you have to expand first. It does not expand before you or separate from you. It's not different than you any more than your kids are, any more than anything else that's a reflection of you. It starts with you, and it's a reflection of you, right? So your first business is you. So, and who are you? Well, you, right, are consciousness, right? You have a mind. So a business, your business is a reflection, your outer business, the business we're talking about here, is a reflection of your mind. And if you want your business, the physical business, to change, you, the business, has to change. You have to grow, right? This you right here cannot be smaller than this here. And most often, for most people, it is. And so when people come and they say, well, why do we have to talk about mindset? Why do we have to talk about this? I just want to grow my business. I just want to be healthy. I just want to be whatever else it is. Because business, let's say health, let's say wealth. Anybody know? What are all of these? What are these? Business, health, and wealth. What are those?
I would say that those are some of the basic building blocks for people to survive.
Okay. So.
Or to have income.
Oh, okay. So you said for people. So that means everyone has their own relationship to them.
Yes.
So that means, and why is that? That's great. Why is that?
We all have different mindsets and different skill sets and different ways in which we want to I guess, work or our profession every day and interact with people or interact with the environment.
Okay. So that means wealth, health, and business are a reflection of what?
Of us.
Of the self. Of the self. Of you. Of the individual, right? Of the self. If we're trying to grow this, then what do we really need to grow?
You have to grow yourself.
You have to grow yourself. But why can't this grow? Why do you have to grow yourself? Why can't this just grow?
Because you are the initiator of that.
Okay. So what does that mean? So what does that mean to you? What are you saying that means?
All growth comes from self.
Say it again.
All growth comes from self.
And is a
So the more
reflection.
you grow, the more all these pillars in your life will grow.
Yes, sir. So if you go to a gym and you try to pick up a 60-pound barbell, try to lift a weight, if the weight is too heavy, what do you need to do?
In the chat, Ria put, you have to grow first.
Correct. Like math, it's an order of operations. What's happening is that people are trying to grow this thing before they grow this thing. They're trying to grow the thing. Business, health, and wealth are things. They are things. They are things that go according to you. They are not living things without you. You make them alive. When in the pandemic a couple years ago, right, when everybody's business closed down, right, the buildings a lot, and there really wasn't anyone in the buildings, people would say, oh, I'm going to work, right? Or I'm going to, well, when those businesses or when those buildings, when no one was in them, what were they? I mean, out here we have Google, Yahoo, Facebook are all up here, pretty much in the Bay Area. And so a lot of those businesses were closed, so to speak. But what was really closed? What was actually closed?
The building was closed, the location.
The building. The building. Is the building a living thing?
No.
No. So business is life. Building is not. But the life of your business is a direct reflection of your life, the self. It goes 1, 2, 3. What happens when you try to grow this, so you get this, when you try to grow your business and you go get a building without yourself growing as quickly, right? Overexpansion happens, right? Bankruptcy, liquidation. When you try to grow things in the improper order, you're going to try to pick up a barbell that's too heavy. It's just a thing. Your business is just a thing in the sense of it is made alive when you indwell it, when you enter it. You give it life. It does not exist without you. It only exists according to you, right? A building is just where you put your business in. You had a business before you had a building, which is why you got a building in order to house your business. But you were alive before you had a business, which is why you got a business in order to put yourself in it and say, I want to make this thing alive now. The business makes the building alive. There's an order to it. And when people say, well, why do I have to work on my mindset? Why do I have to work on my mind in order to grow my business? Because there's an order of operations just like math. And if we try to pick up a barbell that's 60 pounds and we can't do that, like the question I asked before, what do we need to do? If something is too heavy, something is too big or too heavy, what do we need to do?
Pick up something lighter.
Pick up something lighter. And then what do you do with that lighter thing?
Repeated action. Do it over and over again.
And what does that lead to?
Being able to do more.
Do more.
And lift more.
And lift more. So eventually you will get to that 60 pounds, right?
Correct.
So that means the 60 pounds is just like your business. It may be something you want to lift, but if it's too heavy for you, you're going to have to grow, like you said, repeatedly. You're going to have to develop. The 60 pounds is just like the business. It's not changing, but it just feels too heavy right now. But if we pick up something lighter, and we develop ourselves, if we go to this self now and we develop it to grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it, then we will be able to pick up that 60 pounds. 60 pounds is relative. Some people can, some people can't, right? But it just takes, for the people who can't, it just takes time and repetition. Eventually you'll get there because the poundage doesn't change. It's not going to be 65 pounds tomorrow because of inflation, right? It just stays as it is. But if it's too heavy, if it's something that's too big for you, you will not be able to lift it until you start somewhere else and build your way up to it, right? Now, depending on how much work you do and how often you do it, you can get there in 2 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, depending on where you're starting and how focused you are on achieving that goal, so to speak, on lifting that weight. But the weight isn't heavy for everyone, right? It's heavy for some, heavy for others, not heavy for others, but it's based on the self, right? So the first thing we need to do in order to grow our business, the one we're talking outside of ourselves, is grow our first business, ourself. And how do we do that? By working on our mind. So let's give an example. I'm going to write a word here. Everybody, I'll say it and write it so people who can't maybe see it or who are driving or whatever else it is. It's one word. Invenire, right? Invenire. I should have probably wrote it a little bit closer, but just imagine they're close. Anybody know what this word means? Doesn't matter if you don't, but participate as you're learning. This is where you learn to lead.
I've never heard that word ever. I'm interested to know what it means, though. Veneer.
Okay, invenire. Okay, anybody else have a guess? Before you start looking on your phones and all the other stuff, just stop the cap, right? Before you start doing all that. Okay, this word is a Latin word, and it's the word that we call invent or invention. Now, what's funny about this word is in, right, means in or on. Venir means to come in or go. They kind of use it differently. In Spanish, venir means to come, right? But they use it as they took their own little thing, but it means in or on and come in or go out. So invenir, invention, right, means really how they use it is come in or income. So now what does this word actually mean? Meaning, like, what is to invent or invention? What does it mean? If you look up the word in the etymological dictionary, etymology is the study of words and their truthfulness. What the word really means, not how people use it. What the word really means is denotation. That's what the word really means. D means complete, and notation, note, means mark. So it's the complete mark. It's what the word really means, the actual definition of the word, not the connotation, not how the word is used in today's society. Just people use it, oh man, that's cold. That could mean bad. That could mean it's cold outside. That could mean, oh, that's sweet. That it's a lot of different connotative meanings, right? The word invention, right? Come in, income. The word invention, like the definition, right, means to stumble upon, right? To stumble upon, to find or discover. That's what it means denotatively. That's the original definition of the word. What does it not say? It says to stumble upon, find, or discover. What does it not say? So when people say, oh, that's an inventor, or that's an invention, what do people usually think that word means?
They usually think that it means that you
You founded it. You initiated it. You made it up.
You made it up. What is that word?
That you created?
Create.
Yeah.
Create. People think invention or inventor means create. The original word did not mean that. It does not mean that. The original definition is still the original definition. The denotation is always the truth. It's always the original. Connotatively, we're using words to mean 1,000 different things. But denotatively, it means to stumble upon, find, or discover. It does not mean to create. It does not mean that. Why is that important? Come in, income. If you want your income to rise, you have to come in. You have to go in, here, in your mind. When you are not creating anything. That's why it also says discover. Does anybody know what the word discover? The original definition of that word meant, like how people, this word, I'll just say it this way. This word, discover, what we would now, the original definition of the word, what it really means is informant. It means it's somebody telling something they already know. So it's not discover, like, oh, I discovered that I found something. Like, no, it means, really what it means is discover. It means to separate from cover. It means you're showing something or telling somebody something you already know. You're not just finding out, you're telling somebody something you already know. That's why it's an informant. That's where that word comes from. So like I always tell you, I tell you the words and I'm writing them down so you can look them up for yourself. Right? So all of these things, informant, we're talking about what you know. Right? We're talking about what you stumble upon, what you find, what you discover. It means to stumble upon, to find, discover. It means there's an idea that's already in. Come in. It means there's an idea, there's something already in you. It's already there, right? But our awareness hasn't latched onto it because we're looking outside. We haven't developed our mind enough. It's almost like if we were in a house and we all had a two-year-old kids, all of us, and we were relying on them to cut the light on. We did that, we'd all be sitting in the dark until they grew up old enough to know how to do that, and be able to reach it. But it doesn't mean the light isn't already in. Doesn't mean everything isn't already here. It just means we have not grown to the maturity where we can turn that light on or where we know to turn it on. The kids are relying on us to turn the lights on. As kids, we rely on other people. In our childlike mind, we're relying on other people to turn the lights on. We're relying on society to turn the lights on, the news to turn the lights on, the president to turn the lights on, being a Democrat or Republican, turn the lights on. We're relying on other people to do for us what we have to do, be able to do for ourselves if we want to if we want to be free. Our children aren't free. Our nieces and nephews, they're not free. They're under someone who knows more, who's more capable, more competent generally, right, than they are. But that helps them to grow that way so that they can be mature and free, right? But this word means basically like there's ideas already in us. And as our awareness rises, we stumble upon the ideas that are there. Like when you walk into a dark room and you're looking for something, right? And you're running into everything, it's because the room is dark, but things are there, but you can't see them. So then if you were to walk out of the room, people would say, what's wrong with you? Well, I couldn't find my keys. Did you turn on the light? That's what allows you to do these things. by turning on the light, your awareness. So when people say, well, why do we have to work on our mind for business? Because if you want your business to grow, you have to become aware at a different level. If you want more outside, you have to have more inside to give. You can only give what you have. Right? So when people say, why do we have to do that? This is why. Because everything starts on the inside. Everything starts on the inside. As above, so below. As within, so without. Above and within are the same. Below and without are what we would call expressive. Right? So above and within are creative. That's where everything is coming from. That's where everything is made. What you see below and without is what came from what was created. But this term is not an outer term. It's really inward. It's expressed outwardly. What we create is expressed on the outside. So if we want a bigger business, if we want a bigger bank account, if we want a bigger anything, right? We have to develop our mind to grow into the consciousness of a person who thinks at that level, so that you act at that level. We are trying to act at a level higher than what we think. But we understand physically we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't give our 10-year-old child keys to the car, because we know they don't think well enough they're not at that level. They don't understand that. They don't have that concept yet. So we wouldn't ask them to do something that we know they conceptually can't understand. So we have to wait for them to grow, not just physically, but mentally. That's why not only do you have to take a driver's test, you have to take a written test. Just because you can drive a car doesn't mean you can think like one or know the rules of somebody who can do that properly. So that's why there's various forms of testing, the physical and the mental. But you have to pass a written test before they let you in the driver's test, because they understand the mind comes before the body. The mind is the governor of the body. So the body wants to express something. Our body is not creative. Our body is expressive. It's on the without. Our mind is within. It's the creative. So anytime we want to express something in business, right, that's out. Then we have to turn around and go back in. So if we want a bigger weight, if we want a bigger business, if we can't automatically do that right then and just bring it up, pick it up, then that means we need some more reps. But what's happening is nobody wants to go back in, or because we've been trained and conditioned to keep looking without. So then we're trying to pick up this 60-pound weight. We can't pick it up. So we don't want to go back down because we don't want to spend time. We don't want to waste time doing the reps. So then we go get us a weight belt. Then we go get us some knee braces. Then we go get us some goggles and some Bengay and some Icy Hot. And we try to do it. We prepare ourselves to pick something up and we end up getting hurt. Now we threw our back out. Or the weight dropped on our foot because we couldn't carry it. That when we try to keep going outward before we go inward to be able to be the person that can hold this business, that can hold this thing, we end up getting hurt every time. And we don't understand that. So what happens is we start trying to do a whole bunch of other nonsense that we don't realize is nonsense because everyone's doing it. Right? Everyone is doing the same thing. Everyone's doing that. Right? So this is why we're talking about what we talk about. Now, business is a lot of things. It's a lot of things. And we're going to kind of start going through what is it so that you can actually make sure you have it and you like it. Business. Again, when someone says you create your life, what is another word for life? What's another word we can use here instead of life?
Look, can you use future?
Okay.
Story.
Okay, future.
Spirit or essence.
You create your essence.
Story.
Story. Okay. I have a language teacher, and dude speaks like 14 languages. And so when I was learning several languages from him, he would ask me a question, and he would literally sit there like this. And if I didn't say anything, he wouldn't say anything. And his patience was almost uncomfortable. He just wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't bail me out. He wouldn't help me out. I mean, if I said something, he'd be like, no, no, no. Or he would say something, but he would not let me get out of participating. That's why I don't let anybody else do it now, because I learned 5, almost 6 languages literally by doing that, having to actually figure it out. And that's how you learn. That's how you make ownership of something, right? So essence, future, life, story. Yeah, but what are all of these? What are these? These are true, but what are they? Give you another example. The Super Bowl. What do they call that?
The big game.
The big game. Yeah, but they say your Super Bowl vacation. Now, I'm not saying Super Bowl vacation. I'm using another word. Your Super Bowl or your vacation, what are these? What do these represent?
Pleasure, experience, getaway.
Experience.
Experience.
Experience, your Super Bowl experience. Why do you think they don't say your Super Bowl business? Why don't you think they say your vacation business? When you go on vacation, to you, is it a business? When you go to the Super Bowl, is it a business? Why do you think they call things that are designed to be fun or designed to be fun? Why do you think they call them experiences? Because that's what we're actually here to have, our experiences. That's why we go on vacation, to have an experience. That's why we go where we go on vacation, because every experience isn't the same. And what we want from our experience is going to be determined by where we go. Right? Your essence, your future these are experiences. Your business is an experience. People think it's this. It's not that. It's the experience called a business. It's this way. It's not business experience. It's the experience that you're having called a business. You have the experience that you have called parenting, called being, a relationship. 1,000, these are all experiences. And so the thing that you pick, or the person that you pick, or the behavior that you pick is a reflection of your desired experience. Where we make the mistake in a business is we think this, like we talked about earlier, we think this is just we just think it's a thing that automatically means something is going to, well, I have a barber business. I have a Shopify business. Okay, you have this. Okay, so what you have is you have an experience called a business, and you decided that the experience called a business, you wanted their experience. The best way to experience a business was to be a barber, or to have your Shopify, or to teach. It's because you pick this to reflect this, because your business reflects your experience. So if your business and whatever you do reflects your experience, how many people think about what they want their experience to be? How many people think about, what do I want my experience to be?
Not enough.
What do we think about?
What do I want to have?
Yeah, well, we think about how much money I'm going to make, how big the building is. We think about, maybe, the days I work and how many hours, but we're not thinking about the type of experience we want to have. And let me back up a little bit. Let me back this up. This is something that, like I said at the beginning, that this is something that I've collaborated with Veronica, because a lot of her world is entrepreneurs, business, and things like that. Let's get something straight. Every one of us on this call, every one of us in this world, once we're adults and we start working, whether it's children or whatever, all of us are entrepreneurs. All of us are self-employed. All of us. Let's get this understood now. Let me back up and let's get this understood. All of us are entrepreneurs and all of us are self-employed. All of us. Doesn't matter if you literally have your own business or if you work for someone else. All of us are self-employed. All of us are entrepreneurs. Why is that?
Because we're the ones still making a decision on what our experience is going to be, even if we choose it to be a job.
That is correct. Because we are in control of our experience, of our body, and where we go to trade it and some time for some money, whether it's in our own idea or in someone else's idea. So if we decide then what we, the I, makes a decision to experience. If we're not alert and aware, we just out here doing anything and then hoping it works out. We haven't identified what experience do we want to have. How do I want to feel about what I'm doing? What do I want to get from this thing? We think about that on vacation. We think about that at the Super Bowl. This is 2 weeks a year for most people at best, and this is one time a year for everyone, if you go or care. Yeah, people put more emphasis on their experience for 2 weeks or 1 day than they do for 52 weeks and 365. 364 the other, and 360, 51 of the other. Because here we understand experience, so we pick everything based on that. When we have a business, it's the same thing as a vacation. It's the same thing as a Super Bowl. It's just a thing. If no one goes to the Super Bowl and no one shows up, is there a Super Bowl? It's not, right? It requires people to attend because it's not a life-giving thing. It only receives life to make it come alive. Your vacation only receives life from you to make it alive. Your business only receives life from you to make it alive. Your parenting, your relationship, whatever, your money, they're all just things that you have a relationship with, and you have to figure out what type of experience you want to have with it. If we decided that, we would actually choose different things because we would realize there's no way we are going to get out of this what we're putting in. If we want this experience, we wouldn't pick that. Or maybe we wouldn't pick to be self-employed. Maybe we wouldn't pick to do Shopify. Maybe we'd be a barber. Maybe we'd be something else because we're saying, okay, this is the type of life I want to have. This is the outcome of that. One of the things, I have kids that I work with. And one of the things I ask them is say, okay, well, what type of life do you want to live? Oh, okay, I want to be an apple picker. Really? Okay. You want to be an apple picker? Well, how much do apple pickers make? Well, let's back up. Where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a house, an apartment? I want to live in a house. Really? Okay. And do you want a car, a bicycle? Oh, I want a car. And then everybody says, oh, well, I want a house. I want a car. What else do you want to do? Oh, I want to go on vacation a lot. So they start adding all this stuff up. So then I say, well, how much do you think an apple picker makes? Oh, I mean, if you're clear on all these things, you also have to be clear on what it's going to take to do these things. So I'm saying all this to say that a lot of times there's a disconnect between what we do every day and what we want to get from it. And then what happens is, because we make that mistake, now we have sunk costs. Now we're in something that we feel like we have to stay in because we've already bought a car, we've already bought a home, already bought this, already bought that. And because we don't know how to use our mind, which we're getting back to, we don't know how to use this, we remain stuck with this. But eventually what happens is it doesn't feel like we have that. So now we're stuck because our mind is not developed with a business, whether it's ours or someone else's. We feel stuck to change our experience because we don't have a mind developed enough to do that. So now all we have is all we have is the responsibility, yet we feel no authority or ability. We just feel stuck. Right? We just feel stuck. So when people say, oh, well, why do we have to talk about our mind or develop our mind? Well, because it's the faculty that's making all the decisions for you. And because you've had one your whole life, you're not factoring it into your experience. You're not realizing that there's this thing you're using that you've been using your whole life that you're not really realizing is controlling everything. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, yeah, I'm just out here grinding and hustling. I was like, yeah, but you're not thinking right about this. Like, yeah, I know, but I'm just going to outwork it. I said, really? I said, okay, well, in our mind, right? Anybody ever had a dream? Just like an actual dream. Like, I dreamt I was, on vacation somewhere. Has anybody ever had a dream? I'll wait.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've dreamt of how I want my whole entire life to be.
Okay, so just a dream. I don't care if it was at the carnival, eating ice cream. You dreamt that. So the mind has a dream. What's the point? The mind has a dream. When the mind is dreaming, what is the body doing?
While the mind is going, the body's at standstill because the mind is going.
So the body is standstill. Another word for standstill is what?
Resting, restoring.
The body is doing what? Why are we complicating? What's the body doing?
Sleeping. They moving.
It is sleep.
Steve said marinating.
Yeah, it's marinating real hard. Yeah, horizontally, generally, right? It's sleep. So when the lady told me, I'm just going to grind, I'm just going to outgrind my thought, I said, really? I said, okay, well, if your body is asleep, but your mind is still awake to dream, every time you go to sleep for 8 hours, your body, you're down 8. Your mind is up 8. You're down 8. Now, amortize that, add that up for a year. How far down are you behind your mind? If you just did it for 1 week, you're down 56 hours. So if you're grinding, how are you going to do what you do and make up 56 hours? Because you got to make that up too, because you're behind. That's just 1 week. Do it in a month. Now you have 224. You're 224 hours behind your mind. Your body is 224 hours behind your mind. So you're grinding. How are you going to make up this number? Now do that in a month and you're at about 1,000. So every month you're at about, and that's just 8 hours. Some people sleep more than that, but we'll just average it out. So on a month, you're at about a negative 1,000 hours. Your body is 1,000 hours behind your mind. So how are you going to outwork your mind? How are you going to catch up to that?
Steve, Saman RC said being efficient when you not sleep.
Yeah, but you still have to do what you have to do. But your mind never stops doing. So you can't catch that. As soon as you lay down for 1 hour, you're already an hour behind.
Targeted, focused.
Right? So the point is that's why when she said, oh, well, I'm just going to grind in spite of my thought. I'm like, well, but you can't even grind as much as you think. You're not even on equal terms. Even if there was an argument or a fight, so to speak, you at least have to be on equal terms. You wouldn't put your 4-year-old kid trying to fight a teenager. The gap is too big. You are 1,000 hours a month behind because of sleep, your body. So you're now going to wake up and just get your body going. Cool. But how are you going to cut into this dent? You're going to go down 8 again tonight. You ever seen a sport or somebody who knows they're losing and it's over, but there's still enough game left? There's like maybe a quarter and a half left, but they're down, 35-0, or they're down, 30 points in basketball, and they still got to play the rest of the game. They look crazy. Their fans look crazy. The coach looks crazy. Everybody looks crazy because they know they still have a whole lot to do and there's no way they're going to catch up. So people just grind their body down. And then that's why people not only get sick, but they get frustrated, they get mad. That's why people get road rage and people get off because they're wearing down the only thing that they know and still don't understand why why the score is getting further and further apart.
In the chat, Steve put it not feasible to keep up. It is, they usually give up when you're so behind.
Yes. Why do you think people give up in life? Why do you think, see, there's nothing wrong with drinking, smoking, entertainment, and all the other stuff. But the reason why it ends up being wrong is because people are down 1,000. So they give up. So then they start finding numbing ways to deal with the deficit and the inevitability of this L. You not only know you're going to lose, you already know you lost, and you're looking at every second ticking down just in the loss. You know it's coming and you already feel it now. And there's nothing in you that says you can change it. So now if it feels inevitable, now you just try to figure out a way to get through it. So people resort to, like Sigmund Freud said, palliative measures, numbing measures to deal with the inevitable outcome of a loss.
In the chat, Steve said because they lose hope. And then Kari said we need to find ways to work with the mind instead of against.
Both of those are true. So that's why we're talking about what we're talking about today. But I'm just giving you an illustration when we say, well, why do we have to do this? Well, because we all understand our body because it's physical and we can see it. We all understand the mind. So I'm going to get into something that I had a discussion about yesterday. Now, this is what I mean by thinking. So I'm going to say this so that everybody understands the difference, how we apply something different to the mind than we would to the body. But because we don't realize the mind controls the body. And because we don't see the mind, we treat it like with the misunderstanding we have. And because it's invisible, we don't understand how it works. So we apply one thing to it that we wouldn't apply to anything else. So if I'm going to make this statement, if you take Tylenol, you are insane. If you take Tylenol, you're insane. Now, that sounds insane. Okay? Stay with me. So, if we took Tylenol, let's just say first thing in the morning, you woke up with a headache. Your head was banging, right? And maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you're, maybe, you feel stressed or worried or anxious and it's just waiting for you to wake up and it's here on your head. So you take a Tylenol. Well, what does a Tylenol do? A Tylenol just numbs it, right? It does not deal with the cause of it. So it doesn't fix it, it just numbs it. Okay, now this is mental, but we do this all the time. If you woke up, if all of us, let's just say all of us had kids and we're all sleeping, it was 5:30 in the morning and we woke up to banging. Our kids had got some kind of pots and pans and started just banging. Would we do the equivalent of this by closing the door? Would we just not say anything to them and just close the door? Anyone? Will we just
they'll hear it. They wouldn't close the door. They'll hear it from us. Make all that noise.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. Say it again.
We would say something to them.
You would say something to them. But why would you say something to them? What is that reflecting when you said, I'm going to say something to them, right? Did you say something to your headache when you took a Tylenol? Did you say anything to your head when you took a Tylenol?
Yes and no.
You
said yes to your head, the yes is, I'm going to do something to take care of you or change this experience.
No, but you didn't change it. You just numbed it. That's like closing the door. You just closed the door to muffle the sound. You didn't change the experience. They're still banging the pans, right? You said you would go say something to them. So here, instead of closing the door, you say something. You say something to the cause, which in this case would be kids. Hey man, what are you doing? Where did you get that? And go put that back immediately and get back into bed. You would say something to the cause. You wouldn't just close the door. That would be insane. But here, we didn't say anything to the cause. We just took a Tylenol. We just closed the door. So in today's society, right, instead of learning how to use our mind, which governs all of our body, there's nothing wrong with taking a Tylenol. I've done it. If I needed to do it, I would do it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I understand that it's a drug. It's not medicine. It's not designed to heal. It's only designed to numb and allow us to go on as is. But we don't allow them to go on as is. We would stop that. What I'm saying is that we are doing things with our physical body, right? Or doing things with our mind that we would not do with our physical body. We would understand in our body like, hey, in the physical world, stop that. I have to deal with the cause. I can't close the door. That's insane. And if they keep banging and banging and banging, you're going to start sleeping with the door closed. Now you've lost your freedom. You can't even sleep with the door open anymore. Or you can't sleep in peace. So by closing the door, you've now lost freedom and peace. By just taking this Tylenol, just numbing something, you're losing freedom and peace and health and probably your mood and everything else, because we're only doing things here to numb things. And our mind, because we don't see it and understand it, we use a lot of mind numbing things, activities, alcohol, drugs of all kinds, entertainment as often as possible. We need distractions because we're going through a lot of pain and we're not dealing with the cause, which is our mind. We're not dealing with why it's off. What is it? What is it? Am I stressed about something? Am I worried about something? Did I not get enough rest? But we've all been out late as teenagers and went to school the next day or did whatever else it is. We made it. We didn't have to have a headache or be sick or be messed up. But the point is that this governing faculty and function is not being used properly because it's not understood. And we're not understanding how it plays the role in our experience. Because we don't deal with it. We don't use it. We're not properly. We don't sit down and spend any time with it. We can't talk to it like we would talk to our kids. Hey man, knock that off. What are you doing? Okay, what do we need to do here? Okay, I need to think about this differently because it's causing me pain. My mind is not thinking about it properly, so that lack of proper thought is being expressed in my body. That's what disease is. Disease is physical dis-ease, right? It's the separation mentally from ease, right? It's the mental separation. But the mind is invisible. It has to have a place to express itself. That's what the body is. So all diseases are literally just physical expressions of mental dis-ease, a separation of ease, right? So in our mind, we just numb things. We don't actually, like our children say, stop. We don't address the cause. So now we have a whole society that just deals with numbing. Health is not even a desired aspect anymore. It's like, well, we just think Tylenol is health now. We just think management is health. So they tell you, oh, you can manage your diabetes. You can manage your cancer. You can manage this and manage that. Nobody even talks about getting rid of it anymore, because you can't get rid of something physical with something physical. Because the reason it doesn't work is because something went off here that's expressed here. And business is just another thing, just like your health, just like your body, just like your money. It's a physical expression of your mind. So when you want to develop this, you first have to develop that. That is you. And so many of us are trying to skip steps, thinking that we can just develop this while we stay the same. Did you have a comment? Right? While we stay the same. Doesn't work like that. Right? So we're just literally in this world, in our mind, we are literally just making now management health. We're just managing what we have: diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer. We're just managing things. We're not even attempting to heal them anymore. But we gave that up because we understand that the physical thing is not going to stop it's not going to change the physical thing. But if we don't know how to use the non-physical thing, the creative aspect of ourselves, we're not going to ever have a different expression. That's why we're talking about what we're talking about. We're just using that now, our mind, to talk about business. But it's the same principle. That's why no matter who comes to me, when they ask me for something, I always look at them first. When they say they want to be or do or have something more, I always look at them first. I always ask them questions about themselves or about whatever else it is to get their answers. I want to see what they're thinking. I want to see where they're coming from. I want to see where they're coming from, right? So we have to think about our experience. What do we want to feel? What do we want this experience to be like? My business, what do I want it to be like, right? Another thing a business is a relationship. It is a thing, and you are a thing. You have a relationship with your business. What is it? What is it? How do you get along? How do you describe it to other people? How often do you do it? How well is it working? It's a relationship. And it is governed by you are in charge of it. It only exists because of you. This is a thing you're using. This relationship, this business is a thing you're using in order to express yourself. Well, like I said, whether it's your own business or whether you work for someone else. If you don't have an understanding of what you want the relationship to be, you'll end up having something that you feel no control over or no joy in. This will end up going like this. The business will have a relationship with you, and then it'll be telling you what to do. Give you an example. Years ago, when I was in Southern California, I'm in Northern California, right outside of Oakland now. When I was in Southern California, I had my own training business, basketball. I played college basketball, stuff like that. And I had my own business training basketball athletes. And then it expanded into other types of training as far as like different sports or whatever, because that's when the mind stuff started kicking in. But point is, had my own business. And so I just thought, like most of us, hey, I want to make some money and I can be an entrepreneur, and it was all good. Well, first at business, when you have a business, your first thought is like, let me make sure I can make it, right? That's your first fear, so to speak. Let me make sure I can make it. So then I'm like, cool, I made it. So then it got to a point where I had NBA, WNBA, all the way down to 5-year-olds. So I had probably at one point in time, probably maybe about 60 to 65 people at one point in time. Now, I'm the only one training. I don't have other people that work with me and things like that, because almost kind of like there's certain businesses that you just can't, people want to see you. If you sign up to get a ticket to see Tony Robbins, you don't want to see his cousin. So when people say, oh, you can expand and you should level up and scale, you can't scale everything. There's just certain things you can't scale like that because they want to see that person, right? So I had about 60 or 65 people. So I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. So I'm doing all the things that we think. I'm like, yeah, I got money. I'm an entrepreneur. I have freedom. I have, I'm walking around in shorts and a t-shirt 95% of the time. I'm feeling good. So I was like, cool. But I was just thinking how to survive. I wasn't thinking about my experience or my relationship. So then what happened is I had to start dealing with these 60 to 65 people. Well, it's just me. So what ended up happening is I was training 7 days a week for probably 4 years. No, I would say about 3. Once it got ramped all the way up to that, for about 3 years, I was training 7 days a week. I had to get them in. Kids you can't do the kids until they get out of school. It's 3 o'clock. You can only go for so long until they're tired or you're tired. Then the kids you didn't get to during the week, you have to get to on the weekend. Then the people you don't get to on the week or the weekend, you have to try to figure out. You have the adults, the NBA player, WNBA player. They're hard and heavy during the summer and in the winter. The women are the winter, the men are the summer. So you're doing that. So you're literally going around in this cycle over and over. So at first it's fun because you're making a lot of money. You have freedom. You have your own business. You're an entrepreneur. You're all the things that people tell you should be, want to be, happy to be. You get to tell everybody you are. Oh, I work for myself and everything like that. So after a while, I had to get to these people. But I never thought about what I wanted my relationship to be with my business or what I wanted my experience to be. I just got in it. So now I'm in it. So now all the things that my initial fears were how am I going to make this? It was all I did. So if people didn't come, I didn't eat, so to speak, right? It was like literally like this wasn't a side hustle. This was what I did. So, people don't come, you don't eat, people don't bring your check. If people don't sign the check, they don't write the amount on the check, kid loses the check, or people say, I'll pay you next time. All kind of stuff happens. But okay, I'm at 60, 65 people. Then what started happening? I had friends and family. Hey, let's go to this or that. Okay, cool, let's go. So I'm getting ready to go out the door. Phone call comes. Hey, I remember one in particular. Hey, my son is getting ready to go to, I was already training the kid, but hey, he's getting ready to go to Vegas. And I want to know if we can get one more quick workout in before you go. I was like, nah, man, I'm actually getting ready to go to the movies, some friends of mine, family and stuff like that. He's like, I'll give you $1,000 for the hour. I was like, 1,000 American, US dollars, $1,000. Now at the time I was only charging, well, for kids and young people, I was charging like 70, and for like NBA, WNBA, I was like 200. But 1,000, 1 hour. But I'm getting ready to walk out the door to do something completely unrelated. So now I have this choice in my mind. I'm like, should I go or should I not go? But I'm afraid that if I don't go, well, people may stop calling, or what if they get mad, or whatever else it is. So I'm not gonna lie, I went, I got my 1,000, right? But now what's happening is this business starts to control me. I haven't defined my relationship with it or what I want my experience to be. So now I'm just on this horse and I'm happy to not be walking at first, but now I'm starting to get off the horse and now I'm walking beside it. Then after another couple of times, now I'm getting drugged behind it because I haven't decided what I want this experience to be. How do I want to feel about this thing that I have? What is my relationship to it? How do I want it to work? I didn't think about that. I just got into it and said, if I can make it, I'm winning. But then what I was starting to do to it at the beginning, it started to do back to me. So now I'm a hostage to my own business. So many people I work with in business, they'll say, oh, well, I just have to do this and do that. And your business, another thing your business is, which leads me into it, right? Another thing your business is metaphorically, is your baby. It's yours. It is something that you created from within you that the physical world ultimately expresses or experiences, that they get to see. But you named it. You're the one that has to feed it. You're the one that has to clothe it and everything like that. It's your baby. But what happens is, if we don't have a relationship with our baby, if we don't know what type of parent we want to be, if we don't have a desired experience of how I want this parenting to feel, what I want to be in it and get from it and things like that, if we haven't established that here, we then now what it starts to happen is that it starts to become other people's baby. What does that mean? So like me with $1,000. So now you have your own business, and, and you've named it, and, it's your thing. You got t-shirts, you got a website and everything like that. But what happens is you haven't really defined what you're willing to do or not. So at first you start to say, I'm gonna work whenever I can. So at first it's Monday through Friday, because that's pretty much what everyone does. And, 8 to 5, because that's pretty much what everyone does. And maybe Saturday, maybe, but mostly not, but maybe on a rare occasion. But you haven't really defined these things. You haven't really decided what you want your relationship to this business to be, or what you want your experience to be. So you're just kind of out here winging it. Well, now what's happening is somebody calls you on a Sunday. And let's say you sell diabetic kits. So Monday through Friday, you're out there selling them and everything like that. And you call this doctor up and say, hey, I want to deliver these diabetic kits, and the doctor pays you and things like that. So you say, hey, I want to come up there Friday and deliver these diabetic kits. And the doctor says, oh, you know what? I can't, me and some of the other doctors go golfing on Friday. It's like our only day off. Can't really do that. How about you deliver them on Sunday? How about you deliver them on Sunday? So now you're like, well, now you're not against Sunday, but you didn't plan for Sunday. You don't have a plan at all. You're just out here like I was doing. I'm trying to get as many people as I can get, but I don't have any concept of what I want my experience to be, how I want this to feel, how I want this to be in my life. I don't have a relationship with my business. It's just kind of dragging me behind. As long as I'm getting paid, I keep my mouth closed, right? So now the doctor says, I can't really do Friday, but how about Sunday? And how about you come out to my house? But don't worry, I'll give you gas money. I'll give you gas money. So now you're like, so now your Friday is still your Friday, but now you realize it's not the last day of the week this week. So now you're in Sunday. So now Sunday you go back out there and you're not planning on making it a thing, but you're like, oh, well, it's just, I'm gonna do it this time. So then after a while, this doctor says, hey man, that's really good. Why don't you come out to my house on Sunday? Now they're just not even asking you. They're just kind of suggesting that you should. And since you've done it a couple of times, now you're out here. And there's nothing wrong with Sunday. But the problem is you never thought you were going to be working Sunday. You didn't define that. So now you're out here on Sunday because you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, and you think you should just be doing something because that justifies, well, I'm an entrepreneur. I got to be out here. I got to stay in front of everybody. I got to be on it. I got to be doing lives every 5 seconds. I got to be out here on the this or that, or I got to be out here doing this or that. I have never had a website or a business card until a week ago. Well, I had a business card when I was training, like when I first started, when I was like 25, and like it wasn't even real. It was just I thought because you had a business, you're supposed to have one. But I've never none of my business has ever been based on a website, a business card, or anything else, ever. I'm not saying you shouldn't have one. That's not my point. But what I'm saying is that I've done it in different phases. I did this. I've done training. Now I'm doing, working on people's mind and things like that. But I've never had one or needed one. But I have defined now my experience and my relationship, what I want. I didn't want to go back to the 60, 65 people, meaning where I had something, but I was in no control of what I had. It was just running me wild. And so I moved from Southern California here and got a whole new job, quit training, quit doing everything. Because I was like, man, I'm good. Because I didn't have any time during the week. I didn't have any time during the weekends. I didn't have any time at night. People are calling me, come see the kids play. Can you come train this? Can you go see them play travel ball? Can you go out and do this? And I had no life and no time. But I had a business and I had money, but it had me. I didn't have it. So now this Sunday thing, so now they say, hey, why don't you come back out here and bring the kids on Sunday? Hey, can you come Saturday night? And then so after a while, this thing gets away from you and becomes other people's baby. So it's like if you had a baby and every time you brought him home, somebody came and took him from you. Your aunt wanted to take him one night, then your mom wanted to take him, then your dad wanted to take him, then your brother wanted to take him. You have this thing that's yours and you're responsible for, but you have no control over it. And everybody's telling you how it should work and how it should be. So you have this business and you have no say-so in your own business. You have no control over your own business because now you're just out here just going with everything and everyone because you never identify what your relationship to it is, what it is, what you wanted it to be, how you wanted it to be, and how you want it to go. And that's because you never sat down and conditioned your mind to say, if I'm the creator of all things, how do I want to create this experience? What do I want to get from it? What do I want to be or do or have or feel? What do I want my relationship with this business to be? How does it work? How does it go? Right? We all just create something and get off and start running and hope it works out. We create a business and we don't even create a client, which we'll get into in a second. Everybody's out creating a business. Then they get on the same social media sites and say, and try to get, and everybody's talking to the same people. They're creating a business and don't create the client. If the business is your experience, isn't your relationship with the client an experience? So if you created your business, why wouldn't you create the person to go with it? These are things that people don't talk about. So then they create a business, then they have to go on 58,000 lives. They got to be on the internet. They got to be on every Instagram, every this, every that, because they don't know who they're talking to. They're just talking to anybody and everybody, and they hope by sheer numbers they can get them. And then because you didn't create the person, it's not your baby, you have to now hustle it. You have to find the right words to say to them. You have to go into the psychology of selling. You have to go into all this other stuff. How can you go into the psychology of selling something to someone else and you don't even have your own psychology together? If you don't know thyself, which is the first commandment, you don't know thyself, how is it you're going to be able to know someone else enough to hustle them? You don't know you. But everybody's creating a business. Then they go on this social media thing and they go out and just say, if I'm out here all day on here doing it, then I'm going to find somebody. Well, if you create somebody, if you create your baby, if you create the experience of the person that goes with your business, you don't have to find them. You already know who they are. So it's like Batman. When the commissioner puts out the bat signal, he's not talking to everybody. He's only talking to Batman. And he's not putting the signal out hoping there's Batman. He's putting the signal out knowing there's Batman. So when Batman sees the signal, does he ever go find Batman? Is he out driving through the city looking like, hey, Batman, anybody seen him? No. He puts the signal out, he turns around and Batman's standing right there. When you create your client, when I work with people in business, I teach people and show them how to do that. When you create your client, it's like you create a business and a client and you put them together. They're both your experience. Having a business is an experience. It's going to be a terrible one if you have no client. So then if you created the business, why wouldn't you create a client to go with the business? So you create the client. What type of client do you have? What's your experience with them? What's your relationship with them? They always buy from you. They love what you have to offer. They love to refer other people who feel the same about you. They always have good referrals, for you. They always love what you're offering. They always are happy to see you. They buy whatever you buy, or they come learn from you, or they do whatever. You create that experience, just like you created your business out of thin air. That's invention, but that starts from the inside. But since we don't realize that it's an experience, we don't create it. We just show up and hope it works out. But we don't do that on vacation, because that's an experience. We don't do that at the Super Bowl, because that's an experience. But your life is an experience. Just like the Super Bowl, just like vacation, except it's every day. Yet we literally make it a business in the sense of it's just something we create or we're in, and we just go punch the clock every day. We're not thinking at the level of the creative level, which is really who we are. We're not thinking at the highest level where everything is created by that thought. We're not thinking that way. So we start believing a whole bunch of stuff about business and about even life itself that is actually not true. Actually not true. So I use everything when I'm talking about, in this case, business. I still use every aspect of life to get the point across that you can apply to business. So when you know how to think, you're able to live in a certain way. Does anybody know who this person is? Before you start looking on your phones and everything like that. William Ellison. So when people start talking about, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, or you can't do it because you're Black, or you can't do it because you're a woman, or you can't do this or that, right? Your mind is like the great hookup. Inside your mind, you are inside your mind, and you're using your mind like a piece of machinery according to what you think you are. So if you believe and know that you are a successful business owner, which is what we work on the mind to get to, that you're the type of person that has this type of business, then you will be able to use your mind like a tractor or like a car to your desired end, to do the work for you. Go ahead.
So in the chat, Steve said, is he an inventor?
Oh, yeah. No, but he owns some stuff. And here's the answer to that. William Ellison. William Ellison was born in the late 18, what was it? Late 17, around late 1700s, died mid 18, like 1860s, something like that. He was a black man in South Carolina. He was I believe, the fifth richest man at the time in the South. And he was a former slave, look him up, who became a slave owner. And he was the largest black slave owner of black slaves. Largest one. He owned at one point over 1,000 acres of land. He owned over 80 something, no, was it 60, almost 70 slaves, I believe, and things like that. This dude. This is before the Civil War. A lot of his family his kids lost a lot of their money that he had given them because they actually donated to the Confederacy and bought Confederacy bonds, right? That they were using to keep money going so they could fight the war. And when they lost the war, all those bonds became worth nothing. But this dude right here, right? Black man was a former slave, bought his freedom and his wife's freedom and his kids' freedom eventually. And so he was a former slave and was a slave owner. Now, this is before the Civil War when, I mean, black people are having a hard time now. Just imagine back then, right? And he was one of the fifth, I think he was the fifth richest man in the South, like number 3 in South Carolina, number 2 or 3 in South Carolina, right? That's who this person was. So he actually was an apprentice. He was an apprentice. And he learned how to build and make cotton gins. So that was a way where they could separate the cotton. They used a machine instead of hand. And so he knew how to build and repair those. And so basically he got rich off of that. But he was an apprentice. He learned how to do that. Right? So this word apprentice, this word indenture or indenture servitude or slave, all these words, people don't know what they really mean. They're all terms of employment originally. They're connotatively used to mean something different now. But originally, they were terms of employment. They were terms of a contract. Historically, but people don't, they connotatively change it to mean black people, but that's not actually what they were at the beginning, right? There's a great couple books. Well, there's an article from the American Bar Association Journal called "The Illegal Slavery of the American Negro," I believe it is. The Illegal Slavery of the American Negro in the American Bar Association Journal. There's another book called "Child Labor" that talks about indentured servitude and basically indentured servitude was a English. It was started in the Queen Elizabeth era, where basically there were a lot of poor people in England just sitting around, and they basically would make them work. They thought work was, whether it was voluntary work or forced work, they thought that was the way out of poverty. So they would make them work, and they would have indentured servitude. Indentured servitude was basically where parents sold their kids to a master, someone who would teach them a craft. That's where William Ellison learned his craft. And they would sell them to a master for anywhere. So they would sell them from anywhere from 7 years old to about 14 years old, between that time. And they would sell them to somebody till usually they're about 21 or 22. And there was a contract largely done by the father, and they would give their child away to somebody to learn something, and that person would give them money for their child. So they were basically, the parents would get paid for their child learning something from that child's work, basically. But that money wouldn't go to the child. The child couldn't get paid until their last year. The most famous indentured servant, well, one of the most famous ones that people don't know, right? This guy right here. He was sold by he was indentured, right, by his father to his older brother. His older brother ran the second newspaper in America called the Boston Current. His brother, Benjamin Franklin, was really bright. And his brother kind of hated on him. His older brother kind of hated on him. So when his brother had said something crazy against the local government, and they basically took his paper from him. So he gave his paper to Benjamin Franklin. But at the time, Benjamin Franklin was his younger brother, and he was an indentured. At 12 years old, Benjamin Franklin signed a contract with his brother and said, you know, I'm indentured until I'm 20, and I don't get paid, and I just learned how to do this. That's why he's on the $100 bill. Because when they started printing money, they had to figure out how to stop counterfeits, and he ran his brother's paper. So he knew how to make paper. He knew how to make it a color and things like that. That's why he's on the 100, because he knew how to stop counterfeits. He knew how to make money. He knew how to stop counterfeit money and things like that. He ran his brother's newspaper, the printing press, and all that different stuff. And eventually he ran away. He was in Boston. He ran away from his brother. His brother kind of kept hating on him and things like that. He ran away to Philadelphia. That's how he got to Philadelphia, right? But he was an indentured servant. And so basically families would sell even within family, they would sell it to someone else and to get money back and to have that person learn a trade. That was a European English. That was an English custom. That's what they did. That was a constant thing. That's what an indentured servant was. My point is that the third richest man in the South at that time was Black. This person right here, white, was poor. Not poverty poor, but poor. And so he came up by doing something different. But both of them had what you called a developed mind. They knew how to think. If you read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography and things like that, he talked about his schooling, he talked about how much he liked to read, he talked about his mental acuity and his mental prowess. That's what his brother didn't like, was because his brother was doing all the labor, but Benjamin Franklin knew how to make things work. So he published some articles under a pseudonym when he was like a teenager and things like that. And Benjamin Franklin, when he ran away from his brother, he was hiding because he didn't want to be seen as a runaway slave, because it's a term of employment. It's original as a term of employment, right? So they knew that if you had a contract with somebody, if you left, that's what you were called, right? That's what the original denotative meaning of this is. Not what people say it now like it's roots or something like that. That's not the truth, right? So what I'm saying to you is that you can come from here, you can be something and come from here and become on a $100 bill. You can be something else and be the fifth richest man in the South. You in a time where they're fighting over you literally, right? But the whole point is that you cannot do that without your mind. So one more thing, and then I'll open it up to questions. If you want to you have a business. And let's just say now, instead of this word business, right? We're going to use the word business is still there, but now let's just say you want to have cake. This is like saying, I want to bake a cake. I want to have a business. So when people say, I want to have a business, or I want to bake a cake, or I want to have a business, then I ask them certain questions because I want to see what they think that is and how they think they're going to do it. So if I said I want to have a cake, and I said, okay, I'm going to have a hot dog, a lemon, and some pepper. You have this that you want to be or want to do or want to have. Yet when I have a conversation with you, you put on the counter, when I listen to you, this is what you tell me you have. But you tell me you want to make a cake, but these are the ingredients you have. This is your desired outcome, but this is what you're telling me. This is what you're saying to me. So essentially, these ingredients ingredients. No matter how hard you grind, cook, stay up all night, these things are not going to roll up and make that. When you want to have a business or health, anything you want to put on this line, when I ask you questions, I talk to you, I'm listening for these three things. I'm listening for these things. I'm listening to what you say. I'm listening to your thoughts. I'm listening to your feelings. I'm listening to your beliefs. I'm listening to your words, not just your words, but what you mean by what you say. Not just the words, but what do you mean when you say that word? So I can listen to all of this right here, and I can tell you whether that's going to happen or not. Just like you could look at all this, pepper, lemon, and a hot dog, and know that no matter how hard people grind, stay up all day and night, get on Instagram Live 50,000 times and do all the other stuff, if these are the ingredients that you have to try to make this, it's not going to work. If I listen to your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, when you tell me what you're thinking, when I listen to your words, when I listen to what you mean by what you say, these are the ingredients that you are using to make your business or to make your health or to make your money. And these are all in your mind. So if you don't develop this to make sure that all these things in here are the proper ingredients to make this, you won't have that. Or you only have it to the level that these things are whatever they are. So when people keep saying, well, what does the mind have to do with business? It has everything to do with it. It is the business. That's what we have to understand. Your mind is the business. The business is not a living thing. You created the business. You named the business. You decided what type of business it is, how many hours it is, where you located it. You decided all of those things. You are your first business. How do you know? You name whose name is on the birth certificate. Whose name is on your driver's license? Right? Whose name is on your paycheck? This is your business. Just like you named your name of your business, where it's located, all those different things, because you're the owner, you name, this is your first business is you. All these things have you on it. And so many more things, right? Your insurance, your personal insurance has your name on it. Your business insurance has your name on it. These are all you, right? This is you. So according to how you are thinking, feeling, what your beliefs are, what your words are, which, the words you use to express yourself and what you mean by that expression, that is going to tell me whether you can have a business or not, or to what extent. So developing your mind by making sure you have the proper thoughts and feelings and beliefs and things like that are what are going to let me know whether that's possible for you or not. So as you develop that, as all these things become better and better, they go from GMO to organic, so to speak. As you develop that part of your mind and your mind period, you will actually, that will be expressed in your business. We are trying to outwork our mind with our body, and we're killing ourselves doing it. We're literally killing ourselves doing it. But we have no concept of that because we can't see our mind. We can't see it overheating, but we can feel it. You can feel that headache. You can feel that stress you feel in your body is coming from your mind. It's expressing itself through your body, but it's there. That's why you feel it in your body. Your body is not self-governing or self-created, meaning it is being governed by your mind. Now, once your mind tells it the same thing over and over and over, like if we tell somebody the same thing over and over and over, it will do it automatically. So then it feels like it's independent of you, but it's not. It's just operating on repeat, on what we call habit, right? So your ingredients, the things that you are thinking and feeling and believing to be true, are what is making up this outcome, whether it's business, cake, health, money, whatever else it is. It's based on these things. If I just erased cake, right? And I just said, okay, what is this? If I just put hot dog, lemon, and pepper, would anyone say that's going to end up to cake? Anyone? Would anyone say, yeah, man, I think somehow you can make that happen?
I won't be eating at their house. I know that.
Guess what? So then guess what? That's great you said that. So guess what? Why do you think people don't want to do business with you? Why do you think people, not you personally, but you see what I mean? Like people are seeing this. We think we're talking about this. We think this is what they're looking at. They're not. They're looking at this. You think this is what you're looking at, but your mind. That's why in the wisdom book, right? One of the wisdom books, the Bible, it says, man looks on the outward, but God examines the heart. Your conscious mind, your subconscious mind is always asking you who you are, what you think and feel and believe yourself to be. Your conscious mind will say cake. Your subconscious mind says that's cat. You over here, I'm not eating at your house. We're not doing nothing. So when we want to grow our business, we have this battle between what we want and who we are. And who we are says, what we want says, I'm not eating at your house. I'm not coming together with you. You and I we're not going to be able to come one to have an expression. Man and woman, child, soil and seed, expression, right? The want and the wanter are not one. If this is the ingredients that the wanter is feeling, but wants cake, you can't become one with the outcome. You can't have it. But it's not because you're not smart or because you're not willing to work hard. It's because you cannot outwork your mind. You're 1,000 hours down a month. With your body, you can't do it. And you can cut those hours down and be ahead. Your body can be on vacation and chill if you learn how to think. If you learn how to say, what experience do I want? If I had my own business, or even if I want to work for somebody else, I don't want to have my own business. I just want a job. Okay, a job, right? It's just like everything else. It's just, what is a job? Anybody? What is this? Whether it's your own or you work for somebody else, what is it?
Is that a way to make money?
Yeah, but it's 1,000 ways to make money. People in the lotto got money. Well, it's a lottery. It's just a different one. They both get you money.
Give you something to do.
Is that what you do on vacation? Right? A job is an experience. So what kind of experience do you want? If you have a job right now you don't want, that means you have a job, but you don't want it because it's not giving you the experience you want. You're not getting out of it what you feel you're putting into it. You're not happy with it. Okay, it's not that the job is bad. Somebody else likes it. You just don't, because you want a different experience. The job that you don't like because it doesn't give you the experience you want. Right? I don't like celery. I used to love it when I was little, celery and peanut butter. I don't like it now. It doesn't give me the experience that I want. A job is just like celery. It's just an experience. If you don't like it, replace it with a different type of experience. What type of experience do you want as being an employer or being employed? What type of experience do you want? How do you want to feel when you wake up? How do you want to feel when you go to bed? What type of feeling? See, the experience comes in two things. Experience comes in feeling, right? And the thing, the physical, the thing. The thing is for the physical, for the self you see in the mirror. The feeling is for the true you. What people call God or infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. The feeling is invisible because you are invisible. The physical thing that you're doing, that you're enjoying, gives you a feeling. So the physical body gets something and the true you gets something. So when you decide what type of experience you want to have, how you want to feel, it will lead you to the physical thing. If you just pick a physical thing, you can have something, but it may not lead to what you want. Whether you're working for somebody or yourself. You'll end up like me, working for yourself with 60, 65 people, killing it. but getting killed at the same time. I didn't even hardly have enough time to take the money to the bank and all the other stuff. It was just either I was too tired by the time I got done, or it wasn't open when I was ready, or whatever else it is, because I never defined what I wanted this to be. And that's what all this is for. That's what you get from it. Right? So lottery money. So you get money from either one. You just have to decide, what experience do you want to have? What do you want to have? And then what do you want this relationship with this thing to be? I have a bunch of parents that I work with and work with their kids. Most of their relationships, the ones that are a disaster, is because no one has really defined, and the parents first, didn't define what they wanted their relationship with their children to be. They just had them. They didn't define what they wanted them to be. So they didn't decide what type of parent they wanted to be. They didn't decide what type of relationship with their child they wanted to have. They just became a parent and had a child, and now you're off and running. So now don't even feel like a parent. You feel like a martyr. You feel like a ambulance driver. You feel like a police officer and a fireman, because you're just going from disaster to disaster, or from job to job, or thing to thing, because you never thought about what you, as a parent that you are, what type of relationship with your child do you want to have? What do you want? How do you want this to go? How do you want to feel when you see them? How do you want them to feel when they see you? No one's giving these things thought. They just do things. They just have a business and they're off and running. They just have a child, they're off and running. And nobody's using this to determine the outcome. Your mind determines everything. The set of beliefs, their mind is like a repository, right? It's like Google, right? And then whatever you put in it is what's going to be there, right? So you decide as a parent, okay, what type of things do you want to put in your mind about parenting? As a business, what type of things do you want to, what is it? Who are you in that area? What is your experience in your relationship, right? So these are things that we talk a lot about when I'm working with people. I'm going to open it up for questions now so people have enough time. Please ask any questions you want, or as many as we can in the next 15, 17 minutes, because I could talk all day about this, but your mind has everything to do with your business. It is your business. Your mind is your business. And according to how it's working and what's in it and what your thoughts and feelings and beliefs are, that is exactly what your business looks like. So your business, take a look at your business, it looks like you. Everything looks like you. Your business, your health, your money, everything. So once we understand that, we can change our mind so that we can change what we see, because everything that we create in here is expressed here. Life is lived in the mind, it's expressed in the body. It's not the other way around. Winston Churchill said, he said, you know, the moods of people create circumstances. Circumstances don't create moods. What we're thinking and feeling and believing are what we are experiencing in life. It's just a mirror. And we have to change that if we don't like what we're seeing. We don't if we do like what we're seeing. We don't have to change anything. But if we want to grow our business, we have to change. Our business can't be bigger than us. We can't lift a weight that's too heavy. And a lot of times we're trying to grow the outside before we grow the inside, because we don't understand, respect, or know how to use the inside. But that's what we do here in the Mental Academy, is we learn how to think so we can live well. It's very simple. I help people learn how to think so they can live well, so they can be whatever they want to be. I don't care what you want to be. I'm not trying to tell you what type of business you should have or if you should have one. I don't care what you want to be. I just want to help you be the person who can be it. That's what I do. I don't tell people what business they should be in. I don't tell people how to manage their money. I don't tell people, like I said, I don't even have a website. I've been convinced to get one to give more information to people so that they can have it. But I've never wanted one, cared one. I've never been on social media. I don't have my own personal social media. The Mental Academy has one now as a week and a half ago, but that never stopped me from getting paid, never stopped my business, never stopped me from having whatever I wanted. So I didn't need it for that, right? But like I said, I was convinced to, be able to share the good word with more, with more people, so to speak. And I'm cool with that because that's what I care about, right? But I don't go out doing a whole bunch of marketing and advertising and this and that, because I don't need. My wealth does not come from people. It may come through people, but it doesn't come from people. A job is where your wealth can come through. So can winning a lottery. It's all according to your mind. Your mind says, what's the best way for me to get them this thing that they believe? That's what it does, right? So I don't limit it to people. I know my wealth comes from me, my mind. It comes from what I'm thinking in here. It comes from. It may come through you. Water doesn't come from the pipe, it comes through the pipe. Water comes from the source from the beginning. So the source and humanity is our mind. That's where the water comes from. That's where the money comes from. That's where the health comes from. That's where that stuff comes from. It may come through that. So now that I'm feeling myself to be this thing, the idea, now my greater self says, where's the best way or what's the best way to get them this? It may come through a vitamin. It may come through a person. It may come through winning the lottery. It may come through 1,000 different things, but it's always going to come because that's what I'm believing myself to be. So that's why I don't have to hustle people. I ain't got to sit there and do 1,000 hours of marketing. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I don't mean that. I'm just talking about the way people use it. There's nothing wrong if you want to have a drink. I'm saying the way people use it, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's just not my proclivity. I didn't have social media personally, so I'm not against it for business or personal. I just was never my desire. I never wanted, I just didn't care about it. I'm not against it. I just don't care about it, right? But I was saying, I'm about to say there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that people's, why you say what you say is what I look at. Why you're on here 50 hours a day thinking you have to do that, because that's your belief. That doesn't make it true. That's just your belief, but it makes it true to you, right? So that's what we talk about here is how to think well so that we can live, meaning the way we want to, so we can truly be free, right? All right, that's enough of my thing. We got 12 minutes, so let's make the most of the time. Ask away.
Not really a question, but more of a comment.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, I need to make sure my audio is on here, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say this is actually really good information. One of the things that I'm walking away with, it seems like it would be an important practice to kind of sit down and write out what that experience should look like, you know, ahead of time. Because what I'm hearing is it's right on point. You know, I've got a job that I don't like. I got a business that kind of runs me at the same time, and I'm completely in it. But it was never a time when I actually sat down and said, what do I want this whole thing to look like so it doesn't run me? So that was really good. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. It changed my life, changes so many people's lives when we talk about it, and it will do the same for you. It's true. We are the creator of our own experiences. So if we don't sit down and create, or are not conscious of creating, what do we think is going to happen? Right. And that's what's happening to us. But we're often running so quickly and so feverishly that we don't have time to stop and think. But because we won't stop and think, we can't create a new outcome or a new reality. Right. So no, man, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Great statement. Great comment. Anyone else? We got 12 minutes. Because you know me, I can go on and on forever just out of passion and excitement. But I want to make sure that people, if they have any questions or if they want to, you know, if they have any questions, because I want this information for you guys to be able to use today when you walk out of here, you know, like everyone is saying.
So Johnson, thank you, Lucky. Steve said, create a strategy/blueprint for your ideal or desired outcome, which is the experience.
Correct. I mean, what if you just walked up to a development, a housing development, and they were building houses, and let's just say you were the foreman or the contractor, and you couldn't find plans anywhere? What if everybody said, well, hey, man, well, how big is it going to be? Man, I don't know. I'm just out here grinding. You'd be like, are you out of your mind? This land is too important to be just out here trying. Ain't going to cut it. You have to have some plans. Is this a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 1-story, a 2-story? Where's the sewer piping going to go? Right? You need plans, but plans are just a physical thing that you can see that came from your mind. The idea came from your mind. This is where the invention is. This is where the inventor is. This is where the inventory is, right? And so we now take that and put it on paper, or we take that now and dig it into a ditch. But that is our body is just assembling the creation. So the higher this goes, the better it is. You know, it's, you know, people talk about drugs and side effects. And what's so crazy, what's so asinine to me about that is there's no such thing as a side effect. It's an effect. It ain't on the side. What are we talking about? Have you heard the commercial? The majority of the commercial is talking about the side effect. It's not the side effect. It's the effect. It is part of the effect, right? It's not a side. It's part of the effect, right? And it's the same thing here. It's like we can't just go off and just say anything and think anything and do anything and think it's going to work out, right? We put a plan together. When I say that to say, like, people have a thing called limiting beliefs. I don't even know what that is. What does that actually mean? It's a belief that doesn't work for you. It's not limiting. It's just something that's not going to lead you to where you want to go. So you have to discard it. It works for somebody else. My street is not limited. I just turned at my house. It's not limited, right? It's just, so what thoughts are you thinking? If that thought doesn't go with what you want the outcome to be, if that's not an ingredient to your cake, let it go. There's no way you're going to be able to cook it in, mix it in, twirl it up in the air. It's not going to work. It's not going to make, that ingredient is not going to contribute to your desired outcome. It's not a limited belief. It's a wrong one. It's not the right one to choose. No one goes down the grocery aisle and say, that's a limiting food, a limiting food, a limiting belief, a limiting food, a limit. No, you just keep walking if that doesn't contribute to your desired meal. Like, we complicate things by all these extraordinary terms and all this other stuff. It's not a limiting belief. It's the wrong one. That's why it's limiting. It's the wrong one. You know what? These are limiting shoes. No, they're just too tight. They're too small. They're not limiting. They're not. For somebody else, they're freeing, right? They're not limiting. They are incorrect if you feel limited by them. Don't take it. It's not a bad thing. There's not good or bad the way people do it. It's right or wrong, but it's not even that. It's, does this thought lead me to this desired end? Does this street lead to my house? Somebody, if the answer is no, I can't be on it. But for somebody else, it does. The street is the same, right? It's just, I have to, but that's why we talk about the mind. That's why the mind is everything. That's why it says the universe is mental. All is mind. Didn't say some, didn't say a little bit, didn't say everything but business, everything but, well, I'm black, well, I'm a woman. It didn't say there's any exemptions, exceptions. There's no, there's not. This is what it is. All is mind. This is your business. This is your health. This is your wealth. This is your relationship. This is everything. And if all is mind, and like, we just said, we just started things, then the thing that everything is governed by, we haven't even had a discussion with.
Ari put on the comments, no good or bad, just useful and not useful. Great tip for self-talk.
Yes. At the highest level of thought, there is only thought and outcome. At the highest level of thought, if we were to use the old school generic God, we need to use that word. When God created the sun, the moon, the stars, was there anyone around there saying, I don't really think that's a good idea? What? How come we can't have an affirmative action? Well, let's vote on it. What about climate change? What about this thought, God, right? This highest level of thinking, doesn't have a rival or opposition. It doesn't have anything to say no. That's what you're made in the image and likeness of. Your mind, your ability to think, doesn't have a rival or opposition to it. Not truly. But if we go down from here to here, it does. This is where all your rivals are. These are where all your rivals are. All of your ideas are up here. Creativity is up here. Rivals are down here. Competition is down here. Wallace Wattles always talks about that. He said, basically, at the highest level of thought, you think on the creative plane. Competition, when you're trying to compete with somebody about this or that, that's a lower level of thinking. Who did God compete with to create the sun and the moon? Is there another one? Is there like a generic one or like a low budget version? Is there like another kind? There's only one, because there's only one. There's only one outcome because there's only one God. That God is expressed in your physical terms as your human imagination. It's the ability to create or think anything from in here. It can do anything. It can make anything. Everything that we see, taste, touch, and feel is made from in here. It started first with an idea. Idea comes from here. Humanity, right, doesn't create, it just recreates. It's like Diddy on a music track, not making anything original, just remixing everything. Not mad at it. Liked a lot of his jams. A lot of his jams I thought were original. Till my mom was like, man, that's from so-and-so. Or my dad was like, man, I'd be like, oh man, I thought that was really something. I thought it was a new thing. It's not. Humanity only recreates. Only God creates. Only that highest level of thought. So when you have dreams and desires, that's coming from here. It's your highest level of thought. But then humanity gets in like a passenger and tells you, well, you have to do this first, right? It's almost like when you pick up your friend and you're getting ready to go somewhere, and they're like, hey, where are you going? Oh man, I'm about to go down the street to go do so. Oh man, let me come with you. Let me roll with you. And you're like, all right, whatever. So they get in the car and then they start wanting to run a whole bunch of errands. Hey, can you stop at my brother's house? He got some gas for me so I can get to work in the morning. Oh, let's go by the cleaners real quick because I want to know if I want to get my shirt out so I can go to work tomorrow. Oh, let me stop at my mama's house because she got some of that good eggnog I wanted because I missed a Christmas party, and so on and so on. You start to, when you have an idea, humanity kicks in and says all the reasons that you can't do it or all the things you have to do before you can believe that to be true for you. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. When God said, let there be light, there wasn't any somebody else saying, well, we're going to vote on that and get back to you. And then there wasn't any of that, right? So at the highest level of thinking, there is no right or wrong because there's no one else to be wrong to. Who would you be wrong to? At the highest level of thought, when God was creating the earth, the old school God that we're talking about, creating the earth, there was nobody else to be wrong to. There was nobody else to argue with, congratulate, be mad at. So when we say we are the creator of our own lives, that's true, but we create in the mind. We're trying to use the body to create. The body does not create, it only expresses. It will put together the idea that's in the mind, but it's not the creator of it. So it's not going to put it together any better than the imagination it has, than the image it has. Right? All right. Anyone else? So when you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, let's start with night first. When you go to sleep at night, we lose consciousness. So we're basically detaching consciously. The guard now is leaving. Now our subconscious is open. Excuse me, that's why people listen to things at night or whatever, because they're trying to penetrate the subconscious, because that's where our power is coming from our subconscious through our consciousness to express itself. Right? So when you go to bed feeling the way you want to feel. Talk to yourself, put some ingredients together, cook up some things in you. Cook up, hey man, I'm always healthy. I'm always winning. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about that. Go to bed in the feeling of being successful. Don't go to bed mad. You're going into your consciousness and you're creating your physical experience the next day. It's just metaphysical fact. I don't have time to get all into it, but it's true. You have to decide every night how you go to bed, because you're basically going back home when you lose consciousness. You're basically going back home. And from home is where everything is created. So when you come up in there with a bad attitude, like somebody come in your house with an attitude, you're like, oh man, look, I ain't got time for all that today. You're gonna mess up my whole vibe. Don't kill my vibe, right? Type of deal, right? So when you go to sleep at night, while you're falling asleep, fall asleep in the feeling of being whatever it is you want to be. That's how you're creating. Fall asleep in that feeling of being whatever you want to be, of hearing good news for yourself about your life or whatever you want, your children or your significant other or your business, whatever. Fall asleep in the feeling of being who you want. Right? When you wake up in the morning, before you start running around and start talking to everybody and doing all the other stuff, spend a couple minutes with yourself. All is mine. Everything is here. And yet we spend little to no time with it and wonder why we can't get out of it anything. We don't have any good ideas. We don't have any good feelings or good thoughts. And then we just use our body and we basically punish our body because our mind is undisciplined. So we go on all these extreme diets and all these extreme, religious crazy things and can't eat for 58 years and all pray this way. And God, we do all kinds of things with our body because our mind is out of control. But our body's the only thing we can see, so we hold that account. And yet it has nothing to do with anything except what we put into, right? So we have to be mindful of that. We have to be cautious of that. When you go to sleep, talk to yourself. pump yourself up. I don't mean you have to be doing hysterics and running up and down the aisle, but literally just deciding who you want to be and thinking of that, talking nicely to yourself, kindly to yourself, loving yourself, and going to sleep. When you wake up, order your day. What am I saying today is, what am I declaring and decreeing? This is the day that I have made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Start thinking. Start sitting down and making your plans. Start sitting down and figuring out what you want your experiences to be in life and what you want your relationships to those experiences to be. All right. That's my time. Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure.
For next week, everybody, go to the website I just put on the chat, and you guys can register for next week. That way you don't have to wait for someone to text you a Zoom call. We're trying to automate things and make things a little more official. I'm the mind behind the website and the social medias and all that. So I want to just kind of start becoming a little more formal with that. So the mental.academy is the website. We have some good stuff there. We have some wisdom shots. We have some blogs, and we have the replays there as well. So we're going to be doing this every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. And we welcome everybody. Yes, just, check out the website, register, so that way you're subscribed and you can get our notices. I see Marcus in the chat he wants a word of the day to look up.
Which one do I want to use? Word of the day to look at. Like we'll say blessing. Like people say, like, God bless you, or blessing. Blessing. What that word really means.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you guys next week. Have a great day.